Hi, I'm Nil Bertran Garcia, and I'm going to be talking about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, GPGP. What is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a massive island of plastic and debris in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Garbage Patch was formed through the continuous accumulation of plastic thrown out by humans into bodies of water. The main natural contributor to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch are gyres, which are currents that place all the plastic in one specific area. Formation of gyres. The formation of gyres starts with sunlight, which heats the land and causes warm and moist air near the equator. This warm and moist air rises in the equator, creating a low pressure zone. When this air gains altitude, it goes towards high pressure zones, which are usually 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south of the equator. The wind goes around the surface from high pressure to low pressure. So from 30 degrees north to the equator. And we have to take into consideration Coriolis, which is the rotation of the Earth. And this affects these winds that go from high to low pressure. In the northern hemisphere, the winds go toward the right, and in the southern hemisphere, the winds go toward the left. These are called the trade winds. So in the image, um, you can see how the wind would go from high pressure to low pressure, but it's all going towards the left, and this is because Coriolis has an effect, and the wind from the north hemisphere goes towards the right, and the one from the south hemisphere goes towards the left. Formation of gyres. The trade winds then have an impact on the water in the ocean. As the trade wind hits the water, it causes friction between the wind and the water. This friction is then transferred to the layers of the water, causing the water to move 90 degrees right in the north hemisphere and 90 degrees left in the southern hemisphere, creating a constant current of water circling in the center of the ocean, which is called a gyre. How do gyres contribute to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Gyres trap plastic pieces and debris in the current, and once they trapped it, it's hard for the trash to escape the cycling current. Also, plastic and debris that is in the current tend to accumulate in the center of these gyres, where they will stay for a long time until they are removed or broken down into smaller, finer pieces. Where does the debris in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch come from? According to Hannah Ritchie, most of the plastic that is in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch comes from land-based sources. These plastics are then thrown into rivers, which carry the plastic to the ocean, or blown away by wind, which can also sometimes end up in the ocean. According to St. Rose et al. 2023, all of the trash of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is made by humans, and it accumulates in these areas due to improper release of trash. So the main pollutant number one is plastic. One of the main pollutants in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is plastic, said by Ritchie et al. 2023. Plastic can come in many forms, from microplastics to fishing line, plastic bags, nets, water bottles, and many other forms. This is one of the main pollutants because plastic is more buoyant than water, according to St. Rose et al. 2023, which allows it to pack together and form big masses of plastic, causing damage to the environment in different ways. So main pollutant number two would be ropes and nets. The ropes and nets are also one of the main contributors to the damage that the Great Pacific Garbage Patch creates, and it increases the Great Pacific Garbage Patch in size. These ropes and nets are usually made out of plant fibers, according to Wikipedia. These ropes and nets can later trap even more plastic inside of it, allowing for more accumulation of plastics, which is the biggest pollutant in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Damages that the Great Pacific Garbage Patch causes. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch causes damage to both the environment and humans. It first causes main damage to the environment, which leads to damaged organisms or organisms that are not healthy. Then we later on consume these organisms that are not healthy or have gone through some type of damage, which can later be passed on to humans like microplastics, according to Smith et al., 2018. Type of damage number one, microplastics. Microplastics are plastics that are degraded by weathering or the sun, and they are under 5 millimeters according to Smith et al., 2018. These microplastics damage the environment because they are easily consumed by animals and can go into their systems like their blood and organs, causing them to malfunction. Then we humans consume a lot of these marine organisms that could have these microplastics inside, transferring the damages to us. Type of damage number two, which would be nets and big plastics. Damage caused by nets and larger plastics can be harmful to the organisms living in that environment. The marine organisms in that area can get trapped in these nets or big pieces of plastic and kill them. They can also sometimes mistake plastic pieces to be food and consume them, clogging their digestive systems and killing whatever organism is consuming these plastics. Type of damage number three, blocking sunlight. When big patches of plastics are in the ocean, like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, they block the sun from going into the water. This creates an area that does not get sun, and without sun, primary producers like phytoplankton can't grow, creating an area with not much fauna and flora, disrupting food chains. This disturbance can cause other ecosystems near this area to change. Why is it important to reduce and eliminate the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? Reducing the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is an important thing to achieve because it damages the environment, which ends up damaging us. By reducing and eliminating the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, we could prevent endangered species from encountering these health hazards to increase biodiversity and make the environment healthier. By doing this, we would not have to worry about ingesting microplastics consumed by other organisms, and we could save a lot of animals from having an unnatural death caused by us. What is already being done to reduce the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? There are companies that are already cleaning up a portion of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The two main companies are the Ocean Cleanup and 4Ocean. The most known one is the Ocean Cleanup, which according to them, they have removed more than 100 tons of plastic from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. What they do to collect all this plastic is they go out with two boats and then they throw in the water a superficial buoy that collects plastic at the surface, and this is done to not use nets and kill other animals. Small changes that anyone can do to reduce the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. To be able to make a change in reducing the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, people have to do something about it, and each person can do several small things to make this change. Recycling trash, consuming less so there's less waste, and reusing materials like water bottles, food containers, and bags can also help. Discussion. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a part of the biosphere because it is where all the organisms live. And in particular, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is part of the hydrosphere, which is the water area of the Earth. As explained before, the formation of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch comes from wind, which is the troposphere. And then this has an effect on the biosphere, hydrosphere, by creating gyres, which are the ones that keep plastic looping around in currents, creating the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, as it has tons of plastic and waste, that we produce has a huge impact on humans and the environment, and action is necessary to be able to restore the area and organisms that have been damaged. This are my references and citations, and thank you for paying attention.